Sling TV has something for everyone. It really just depends on what kind of mood you're in. But no matter what you're looking for, you can watch it with Sling. Sports, news, and today's hottest shows. Plus, you can explore thousands of movies and shows on demand. And getting Sling is easy. Sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes. Stream on any device and record up to 50 hours with your included DVR space. Plus, you won't get locked into a long-term contract. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. Welcome to the Andy Staples Show, presented by Sling. It's a Friday if you're listening in podcast form, and it's time to pick games. We got Ari Wasserman. We got Nicole Auerbach. We have a potential bet on deck thanks to a very hungry Fox business contributor. If you listened to the show on Thursday, you heard the clip about the guy saying, well, I spent $28 on a very nice lunch at Taco Bell for myself. And Neil Cavuto is like, you didn't spend $28 at Taco Bell on yourself. But one of us might. So there will be a game that we picked this week that is a $28 worth of Taco Bell game. And one of us, or two of us, depending on how we shake out on this bet, is going to have to design a $28 Taco Bell order and consume it on the podcast in the future. So, Ari, Nicole, have you mapped out your strategy here?
Well, right now the only tabs I have open on my computer are it's ESPN's college football scoreboard, CFB stats, and the Taco Bell online ordering form. I guess my main question is, like, I'll order a bunch of tacos. I may not eat all of them, but I'll have a few bites of a bunch of tacos. I feel like I could get up to $20.
That's wasting food and
I also
in Africa and whatnot.
Well, okay. I'm also gonna definitely do quesadillas. I think I could get there. I mean,
the steak burrito takes you more than a quarter of the way there after tax. So I think you'd be all right.
It's $28 after tax, right?
Yes, after tax, and you get a drink. I mean, a drink might.
Well, that's probably necessary.
Where you are, you're dealing with probably $3.
I'm going to level with you guys. I think I'm less enthusiastic or more scared to do this than the chip challenge. I'm going to do whatever I can to avoid this.
No. Well, what we learned about Ari Nicole last week is that he is a variety eater and not a volume eater, if that makes sense.
So you mean eating all of the Southern comfort food repeatedly over and over again?
I would like to have a little bit of everything, but I don't want a lot of everything. I'm more of a weird try something like mustard challenge than I would be volume eating challenge. I'm not Adam Richman. And I also don't think that this is good food. So it's I'm not saying it's disgusting. I'm not going to throw up over it or anything, but if I'm going to torch my diet, because Andy, I've been eating a perfect angel since I got home.
Good.
On something like this. It's just it's just sad because I feel like I'd be ruining my progress on something I'm not even enjoying a little bit.
Isn't there the whole genre of YouTube videos where you just order $100 worth of food and try to eat it? And it's there's a phrase for it, but people like to watch
stuff my kids watch, I believe is the phrase.
It's really funny too, because Andy gave me a piece of advice. You called me a rat, I think, right? Did you call me a
raccoon?
Rat?
You're like a raccoon. You like trash and a lot of it.
So I like certain trash foods. And he said, if you're going to break your diet or you're going to eat something that's not good for you, you should at least make it count. And this is the exact opposite of that advice. In the most extravagant, extreme.
Well, here's the thing, though, Ari. There's an exception to that. Make it count with something special, or make it for the show.
Yeah.
And this would be for the show. So
that is a good point.
We got to figure out a way to make sure that my wife doesn't find out, because I don't want her to leave me.
Ari, thousands of people listen to this show. I hate to break it to you.
No, I know. I just don't want her to be one of them.
This is a public forum.
All right, guys.
I'm going to try really hard to not lose this one. That's all.
I think we should do it with our What to Watch For presented by Sling game, and that would be Penn State at Michigan on Fox. Big noon kickoff, big noon Saturday. I think.
You mean the hardest game of the week to pick?
Awesome. Yes, that's exactly why I'm choosing
Thanks,
it.
Andy.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So this is a fun one. Lines presented by BetMGM. Penn State is a 7-point dog going to the Big House, which was a house of horrors for them early in the James Franklin era. 2016, 2018, two very good Penn State teams, including the 16 team that won the Big Ten, got housed in the Big House. 2020, Penn State won, but it was kind of, that's an outlier year for Michigan as well. I have no idea what to make of this game, guys. I really don't. I may wind up flipping a coin to see where I'm coming down on the Taco Bell bet.
I know which side I'm taking.
You gonna let us in on that?
You should go
Michigan.
first.
Okay.
I think Michigan is going to present defensive challenges on the road at a place that Penn State has struggled at repeatedly. I know that Penn State is undefeated, but I think Michigan is a better football team, and this actually has a chance to be one of those house of horror games. And it's hard to kind of vision right now because, Michigan struggled at times, last week against Indiana and, didn't have the greatest showing against Maryland. But if both teams are jacked up and both are, ready to play, I think the fact that it's in the Big House, and I'm not confident at all in Sean Clifford's ability in these environments, I think it's possible that Michigan wins this game pretty easily. Now, if they lost, it wouldn't be surprising, but Michigan to me is the play here.
I'm also taking the Wolverines as well, and it's in part because Sean Clifford played really poorly against Northwestern last time we saw him. If it's good Sean Clifford, that's going to be interesting because I do think, we still have some questions about Michigan's secondary, but I do think they figured out some things in the pass rush. I do think, it's a lot's going to fall on his shoulders. And James Franklin has not been good in these games. He has not been good on the road against ranked teams. There's a lot of pressure, I think, to change that. And, we've also talked about his play calling in close games on the road against ranked teams, right? Like there's just been a lot of pressure. And so I think that's all going to be squarely on Penn State. I agree with you. I think Michigan is the better team. I think that Michigan's running backs will have a challenge with Penn State. It's one of the best rushing defenses in the country, but I just think that Michigan is more talented. We saw JJ McCarthy step up to the moment against Iowa's defense. So I also think that Michigan will be able to cover.
Has Sean Clifford replaced Bo Nix as the good insert QB name here, bad insert QB name here?
But we still have Bo Nix. He's still playing in college.
I know, but he hasn't been bad, Bo, except for the Georgia game, which I feel like is like residual SEC. He had to kind of get it off him before he could enter Pac-12 play.
I'm going to say this, and I don't know if it's offensive, but has Clifford ever had
I just love when Ari starts. I don't know if this is offensive. I'm just
Clifford had Bo Nix had some pretty good stretches of excellence at times at Auburn. It's
excellence is not the
I don't know
word I
he won games. I think that's why
spurts of flashy excellence.
Yes, some good plays
Clifford
like in the LSU game last year.
Clifford had the game-winning drive this year.
Yeah, against Purdue. That was a big moment for him.
I don't know. Nix was sexy when he was doing it.
I don't care if they're
sexy. You might be the only person who ever said that Bo Nix was sexy. I don't think people said
his wife has said that, I'm sure, at least once.
I don't
believe Bo got married over the
sexy.
summer.
I think that
or
some of those games that he had at the end of the I can't even remember off the top of my head. I just know that Nix had some very flashy moments. And Clifford has kind of got stuff done at times. But I don't know, would you guys take peak Clifford over peak Nix?
Yes, I feel like that's a more consistent product. Bad Bo on the road in the SEC was especially bad. It was scary bad. We've not seen that from Clifford. So I checked the weather, by the way, because Nicole brought up the Northwestern game, which was a struggle. The
weather was terrible
as well. So I checked the weather for this one. At kickoff, we talking about some football weather. 50 degrees and sunny. Woo!
Love that. That's a perfect day at the Big House.
So, Andy, if we're both on Michigan, does that mean that you basically have to be on Penn State because you're over here? You're over here talking about Clifford.
We never pull the Stephen A. and Skip.
I know,
but we have to.
I
must stake out this side.
Then the Taco Bell bet has to be a different game, which is fine.
But
the way he's talking,
I was already going to take Penn State.
I
Mid-Atlantic Lions. Nick
Sorry, I feel
Singleton.
good. I feel good about our Taco
Yeah.
Bell side of this.
Especially
Don't
because we
worry.
probably have 2 weeks to kind of, next
Guys,
week.
I get it. I get a
Nicole
touchdown.
is eating the cottage cheese in Dallas, and I am going to feed it to her. And I'm going to.
Yeah, we did. We did discover that I will be physically in. Well, I'll be in the
Are,
Dallas
eh?
Fort Worth airport. Ari's
as
gonna
a
spoon feed me.
yes, and as the chef who is spoon feeding you, I get to select the spoon.
Uh-oh.
How many spoon choices are there?
I'm going to make sure it's a good one.
Did you see
How
the
about
spoon?
can I have a baby spoon?
We have baby spoons in this house. We have those little tiny like teaspoons that you eat, that my wife eats pudding with, because she's 4'11". We have the secondary spoon sizes that are like not big spoons, but the spoons that you would eat like with mashed potatoes. And then we've got the big ice cream spoons.
What about a soup ladle?
And then also, like, can I just like pick a soup ladle?
No, you cannot. That was absolutely not. The idea was, oh, you hate this, Nicole. We'll make it easy. It's only one spoonful. That's not. No one is saying like this is what we're gonna serve. Chicken noodle soup out of fresh off the stove, or this is what we're gonna we scoop out the
those
chili.
big spoons that you.
Yeah, no, we're absolutely no.
I've got so many spoons in this house. You can come pick it, but you can't pick the baby spoon.
Okay, maybe the teaspoon though. He's gonna lay out like 5 spoons and then be like,
I'll bring the spoons and you can pick your
for the
spoon.
cottage cheese. Well,
it's like
okay,
the switch you get whipped with.
If Ari and I both lose, then we both do it.
Yeah. It's
Taco Bell
not
challenge?
$14 a piece. Like you're gonna both do it.
That's fine.
And
all right,
I'm gonna put this out into the world for our bosses at the Athletic. We're expensing this. Like, if I'm buying $28 worth of Taco Bell, you're paying for it, Athletic. Like, I'm not spending my own money on this. So
I've never been a bigger Wolverine in my life.
I am ready
proud of
for the Nick Singleton coming out party. I am ready for him to be a household name nationally. I'm ready for us to hype him as the next Saquon.
And that's legitimately possible.
It's probably unfair,
it is.
But
he's a stud.
So,
but I mean, we have to really put faith in Michigan's defense at home against a team that has looked dysfunctional on offense at times.
And has been really good against the run and has figured out some things in the pass rush. Listen, Ari, I'm with you. We'll see.
JJ McCarthy might be born into legit stardom this weekend too.
Could this be Michigan State game from last year?
If people weren't aware,
do people not know who Blake Corum is?
He should be getting more votes in our Heisman straw poll. That's my only take on that one.
Do you think that like the national? I always like talking about this with you guys because it's interesting to me, and we're so like focused on this all the time. Like you tweeted last night, I'm sitting in front of my TV watching the Marshall Louisiana game. The people who listen to this podcast are probably more obsessive than casual fans, and that's why we love the audience. But does the general college football fan know who Blake Corum is? Like, if I went to a buddy's house who's a Texas A&M fan, would he know who he is?
I don't think so.
I don't think he would.
Maybe not. That's our staff too, right? Our staff is very, diverse geographically. I mean, Blake Corum is one of the best running backs in the country, and we're not really talking about him that way. So this is a big game. Because yes.
You're going to have to put it in real life too, the bet. I'm going to ride it financially as well.
Oh.
Are you trying to guilt me into that right now?
Okay. You can do whatever you want to do. Well, I'm just saying I'm doing it.
Yeah,
that's a personal choice.
100%. Yeah, this is pressuring me too. Okay. All right. But I feel good about this.
Did you know that the nacho cheese Doritos Locos taco only has 170 calories?
I know, but how many is 20 of them?
$2. Well, 170 times 20. But it's $2.39. So I don't have to eat 20 of them. I have to eat 10 of them.
That's 2,000 calories of garbage.
Yeah, but
listen to you telling me about what's garbage and what's not.
It doesn't count because it's for content.
Yeah, and it's 1,700 calories. If I have a big workout that day, I'm still going to come in under my number and have another meal. So listen, I'm excited about this. Whether I win or lose, I win. Have you had a Doritos Locos
That's
taco?
the thing I've learned about you.
It's magical.
But you like losing these bets because you like putting yourself to the challenge.
I do.
He very much enjoyed
really do not want to do this.
the Bijan Mustardson, I like there was joy in Andy as
A man willingly
ate
blended
that.
a steak and drank it out of a
Yeah, I
blender.
keep forgetting he did that.
That was
forgetting he did that
willingly.
one.
Nobody
Ugh.
forced him to do
Ugh.
that. So, okay,
That
Nicole,
was disgusting.
Hail to the victors valiant, hail to the conquering heroes, hail, hail to Michigan, the leaders, and my wife's calling me.
Leaders and best.
Leaders
and
best.
best.
Sorry, my wife was
champions
calling
of the West.
Yeah, I'm.
Do you need-
I'm
do
And
you
they're
need to-
humble
do you need to
too.
take-
Do you need to
do you
take
need
it?
to
Sorry,
take
we're
no,
live.
Well, I don't-
burned it.
Do you- As an aside, do you think now that USC and UCLA are going to be in the pack in the Big Ten, like does champions of the West work better or worse?
Oh, way better. Way better.
I think it's better because if you win the Big Ten, you could say that.
And let's be honest, when that song was written, it kind of was the West, at least from a population standpoint.
It's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
I'm like legit.
Before we leave
next
leave this game, I want to talk about the number of this game. It's 51. We're expecting a low-scoring affair. Is it possible this becomes a shootout?
or one team scoring a lot more than the other.
Well, that's going to result in me eating a lot of tacos, I think.
I think that Michigan could win in a blowout. I don't think Penn State could win in a blowout.
I think it's going to come down to whether or not either side or both can run the ball because they both have great running backs and they both have great rushing defenses. So that to me is, I think, where the limiting factor is. But I do think, I don't know, feels low to me. But you're right. If it becomes one-sided.
So
I mean, 51 is 26-25, or it's 30
Yeah,
to 20, 41, something like that.
I lean over.
All right.
So next
Let's-
week, Nicole is eating the cottage cheese out of the spoon, and then the following week we'll do Taco Bell. So we have
if need be, yes. We
Okay.
If I lose, we can.
I'm
I can
not
do the
eating
Taco
cottage.
Bell pretty much anytime.
I'm not eating cottage cheese and Taco Bell on the same day.
Okay. Well, I just have news for you. I have like this baking spoon.
That sounds small.
No, it's pretty big, actually.
It's not.
You could not fit it in your mouth at once.
All I
it's a
know
big
is
spoon.
don't.
The podcast
not-
is veering into dangerous.
Have you ever
language
seen
again,
those like
guys.
1990s kitchens where they have those fake wooden spoons and
On
forks
the
that are on the wall? Yeah, I'm gonna go get one of those.
Yeah, don't watch the clip of me eating mayonnaise, Nicole, and don't look at that spoon.
I've never.
I gave Ari options, and he picked this one, and it was bad. It was bad for me.
Driving through the toll booths at DFW Airport with a big spoon and a cottage cheese bucket, but here we are. What kind do you want, Nicole? Do you want low fat or do you want the full fat one?
Oh, good Lord.
Which one is less like bumpy?
I think they're both
They're both pretty bumpy.
It's the texture is the problem, guys. So whichever looks.
I'll get you the
smoother to
full fat one because it tastes better.
All right. Let us
Okay.
stay in the Big Ten. This might be the Big Ten West Championship game. I don't know. There's still a lot of people in play here, including Nebraska, as Ari sarcastically predicted, but is now almost seriously predicting.
Now I have to predict it. Yeah.
Minnesota, a 6.5-point favorite at Illinois. Illinois' defense is spectacular. Ryan Walters, the DC, doing a great job there. They are very high up, and Max Olson had his stop rate check in this week. Illinois is very well represented there. You saw them destroy Iowa's offense, but I'm not sure what that says. But Minnesota does present a bigger challenge, although we did see Purdue limit Minnesota, though without Mo Ibrahim. Can Illinois do this again? Remember, probably no Tommy DeVito, so it's probably an Arthur Sitkowski situation here, and maybe no Isaiah Williams either. Can Illinois at home pull off the upset?
Yes. I also called him Danny DeVito earlier accidentally. It's happened like 5 times this season.
I would love to see Danny DeVito as a Division I quarterback now.
Rolls off the tongue. A Big Ten quarterback. Like, don't you think that Danny DeVito might be an upgrade at Iowa?
We had a quarterback at my high school. My freshman year, our quarterback on varsity was legit 5'4". And this is back in the under center days. So when he would get down under center, like
couldn't
his
see.
head would disappear under the center's butt. That would be Danny DeVito as a quarterback.
I mean, it kind of
So
looks like what Baker Mayfield looks like playing with the Panthers right now. The guy gets every other pass he throws batted down at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, so that would definitely happen. But again, in the Big Ten, you just play a field position game, good punting. It doesn't really matter if you have
Actually, Danny
at quarterback.
DeVito might help Illinois' offense in this game because you could run read option, and you really don't know if the quarterback has the ball because you can't see the quarterback.
Yeah, like think about how good they could run annexation of Puerto Rico with Danny DeVito.
Yes,
That'd be tremendous.
great play, a great play design. Okay, so I think that you still have Chase Brown, one of the best running backs in the country. You still have one of the best defenses in the country. I know that they, you mentioned, they kind of corralled Iowa's offense, but they did hold Iowa's offense under their yardage average, yards per play, rushing yards. I mean, like
they pushed Iowa to
Iowa
last
standards.
place in
The limit
total
does not
offense.
exist. I didn't know that they could. Yeah, you couldn't
Yes,
go lower.
but
than
they
those
did.
numbers and
They lowered all of those things for Iowa. So I think they're comfortable winning a game that's going to be difficult, a game that's going to be ugly, a game that might be low scoring, a game where maybe you're just kind of try to like sit on the ball, and just kind of, dominate Nick Terry, one of our commenters, pointing out that these teams are time of possession leaders. I mean, these are going to be teams that are going to eat a lot of clock. And so obviously the quarterback and Mo, the health of those players is massive in this game. But I just think Chase Brown plus the defense is something that can win them the game at home.
Mo's playing, right?
We don't know
Mo's
for sure.
playing. I think we think he's playing, and we're pretty sure DeVito's not, and we're pretty sure Isaiah Williams isn't. Although it sounds like Isaiah Williams might be there. There's a chance.
Okay, so again, I think those could ultimately decide the game for sure. But I also think that the way to win the Big Ten West is to have a great running back and a great defense. And
if the total
that's
is
where you would
less than
start.
40,
the total is 39.5,
and a team is getting a touchdown, that's like almost, what's that like 20% of the total?
You're trying to do math again?
No, it's almost. It's like, it's roughly 20%.
It's a little under 20. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
So I would take the under in this game and feel very comfortable, even though the number is very low. The number is 39.5. I feel pretty comfortable taking the under in this game. I'm not sure how comfortable I feel. I don't know if you're giving me a whole touchdown or almost a touchdown. I feel pretty comfortable taking Illinois because I don't feel like I'm saying Minnesota won't win if I do that.
Well, just a matter like here's the
right.
thing.
Right. It could be a very close game.
We were kind of joking about and somebody when we were talking about cathartic wins yesterday, Andy was saying that this is a cathartic win for Illinois. As much as it was to make fun of that game last week that we were watching at the Alabama press box, like that was a very significant, emotional, tiring, win for them. So I think that we also have to be on alert of one of the best running backs in the country returns on the other side of a team that we thought was going to win the Big Ten West a week and a half ago, mirroring it with the fact that Illinois is returning a week later after depleting all possible assets on their team to get a win over Iowa, that could just be a bad spot for a letdown. So I think that everybody on earth is going to take the 7 here because we're trying to convince ourselves that Illinois is good, and maybe that they are, but I would just caution people a little bit of just the idea that, like, I think Minnesota scored at least 34 points in 4 of their first 5 games. And then the game that they didn't score very many points, Mo didn't play. So, like, what is Minnesota?
Here's another counter, though. Didn't Purdue show how you slow down Minnesota's offense? Don't we think that Ryan Walters and Illinois' defense is going to figure out?
Well, the hope would be that returning one of the best players in the Big Ten to your lineup would help make that harder. But sure, and it's like I don't think that either of these teams are a sure thing. And Illinois is in the top 24. They got a top 25 at number 24, and they got a coach that has done a lot of good things in this conference. I just don't know if they have the emotional capacity and the physical wherewithal to play a game that good again.
Well, we're going to find out. This one may very well decide the Big Ten West. There's a lot to go. We have a lot of show to go. We got to pause for a brief second, but when we come back, we're headed to the SEC for a rivalry game that has not felt like a rivalry in a while, and this might be the biggest meeting this century. We'll be right back. Sling TV has something for everyone. All your favorite shows on your favorite channels, all right at your fingertips. What you watch is up to you. It really just depends on what kind of mood you're in. So if you're looking for sports, Sling's got you covered with pro and college football and basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, racing, and so much more. Sling also has reality TV, so you can keep up with the latest gossip with today's hottest shows on channels like TLC, Bravo, MTV, and more. And don't forget about news. Get up to date with today's most trusted sources like MSNBC, CNN, and Fox News. Feeling adventurous? Explore thousands of movies and shows on demand. So what kind of mood are you in? No matter what your answer, Sling has what you need. Getting Sling is easy. Sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes. You can stream on any device and record up to 50 hours with your included DVR space. And the best part is you can pause or customize your subscription at any time. Check out sling.com for special offers. Sling, the TV you love for a price you love. Try it today. Let's talk about Athletic Greens. If you're looking to get better gut health, more energy, or a stronger immune system in a really easy, natural way, you've got to check out Athletic Greens. I'm sure you'll all agree that most of us are not huge fans of taking a handful of pills or vitamins in the morning. But with Athletic Greens, you can get rid of all those extra vitamin bottles and finally make some room in your cabinet. Athletic Greens is an all-in-one solution that actually tastes good. You're going to enjoy getting your daily vitamins. So what is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All the things. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into cold and flu season. It's just one scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/Andy Staples. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/Andy Staples to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's athleticgreens.com/Andy Staples. Welcome back. Let's head to the SEC. And this huge game, the line for this huge game, presented by BetMGM, Alabama is a touchdown favorite at Tennessee.
It's titillating. I get excited just saying it. I'm just like, I'm waving my hands like a little sissy. I get so excited.
It's a tricky
This game is just exciting. Like, am I like the only one that's like excited as hell to watch this?
I wasn't sure what you were saying. If it was like the line itself, I couldn't tell what you were.
The fact that the line is a touchdown is why I'm excited. Like, it's a game.
We assumed over the last decade that Alabama's just going to go smash Tennessee. It's like, doesn't matter what Tennessee did before, Alabama's going to smash the Vols. I don't assume that this week. And I don't even assume that if Bryce Young plays that Alabama will smash Tennessee. Maybe they do, but it's not an assumption anymore. And I think that represents progress for Tennessee. Now, this is the question, though. Bryce Young starts and is 100%. How do we feel about this game? I think Alabama wins that game, and I think Alabama covers in that game. Anything else? It feels like it's up in the air.
So I want to say this. We do the college football picks against the spread, me and a few of the gambling guys in Vanini and Brody Miller. And I was looking at it right now because we just submitted them yesterday and the story ran this morning. All of us but one have Tennessee covering.
Wow.
Like, this is like a time where people are actually starting to believe in Tennessee, which makes this a very critical spot. And one of our commenters here who's watching live said, poor Tennessee. It's going to hurt so much more now that they have hope. And I disagree so much with that premise because the entire point of sports is entertainment. The enemy is apathy. And the fact of the matter is that place is going to be rocking. It's going to be the loudest day environment. Is that game during the day, right?
It's a CBS game. It's a 3:30.
Yeah, during the day. It's going to be rocking like it's midnight. These people are going to be hammered. Everyone's going to be excited. And like, this is the one time where we finally get to answer the question, is Tennessee good? And the fact that we're doing this in mid-October is is an exciting thing. And like coming from somebody who was anti-expansion of playoff because I don't like participation trophies, this is an inclusion in a different realm. And like anytime we can get a big game involving a new team that's not Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, or Ohio State, I think is an exciting time for the brand of college football. It's an exciting time for our show. And it's an exciting time for that vast, huge, insane, but beautiful fan base that Tennessee calls the Vols, So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
So to quote Ted Lasso, it's the hope that kills you, which also is not where the phrase originated, but I'm going to pull it from there. So I actually do think that's real. I think, but I also, the flip side of that is because college football is so painful and so personal, more so than I think any professional sport. That's why I love it the most. That's why I think people care about it the most. So I think it is the risk that we do buy in, or that if you are a Tennessee fan, that this is going to be different. This is going to be the team that snaps the skid. And it may not happen. And it may be the most painful and gutting loss. But
here's the
that's
thing,
what
though,
being
Nicole,
a fan is.
I don't think Tennessee has anything to lose. At this point in their season, in their build arc with Heupel, the answer was never to beat Alabama this year. It was to field a competent team that has a chance to win 10 games. So if they lose 63-0 and it turns out they stink.
But this is where you're trying to gain ground, right? Like you
Sure.
just said, if you're talking about teams that are not Alabama and Georgia, but
we are.
closer.
The ground has been made. Like we're talking about a Tennessee game as the apex of our show today for the most part, because the team is proven to be good and has a very exciting quarterback talent that is in our Heisman straw poll and is a touchdown dog against the best team in college football, or one of the three best. So like if they lose 28-10 or whatever it is, like that was going to stink. The wind will come out of your sails a little bit, but they're so far ahead of schedule now that they can go into this game and play loose and play like they have nothing to lose. And you know what? Maybe they'll win because Alabama is a fractured team, particularly when Bryce Young isn't playing. So, I think he's going to play. Andy thinks he's going to play. He's probably going to play. But Tennessee is in a very, very good position right now where they can go into this game and really just embrace what that day is going to be.
So the biggest question is, how does Hendon Hooker deal with that pass rush? He's probably the best quarterback that Alabama has played this year. Maybe that winds up being Quinn Ewers. We'll see. But Quinn Ewers was out of that game in the early second quarter or late first quarter. So Hooker is probably better equipped to deal with that pass rush than anybody Alabama's seen. We will see how that works. But Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell will get after you. And the key is Tennessee being multiple, being a threat to run and to throw. And I think they can do that. It doesn't sound like Cedric Tillman is playing unless they feel like he is 100%. So I don't know if you're going to see him. So it may be that Hendon Hooker is a little bit more limited than they'd hope with his targets. But I don't know what Bryce Young's going to be either if he plays. Is he 100%?
What percentage Bryce Young does he need to be for them to win this game and for them to cover?
80. He needs to be able to throw the ball competently. He doesn't need to be able to wow you with his arm against it. You've got to be balanced against Tennessee's defense. They'll punish you for one-dimensional like they did LSU. But if you can run it and throw,
yeah, and I think in case, let's say Hendon Hooker does handle this front, does handle the defense, you need to be prepared in case and you need to be able to hold serve. I think that's where I'm looking for Alabama offensively, because it looked so hard. You obviously had Jalen Milroe making mistakes, turning the ball over in the first half as well. But like that offense was just so limited that if you do get into a game where you need points, can they do that?
Yeah, that's the question. And like I said, if they're one-dimensional, if Milroe's playing and they are, and I would be very conservative if I'm them and Milroe's playing after what happened last week, you could have a problem. I mean, Alabama's got a good running game, but you've got to have the threat of being able to throw the ball. And I look at what Tennessee did against Florida. Florida ran the ball 42 times. They were not running the ball very successfully. They only averaged like 3.4 yards a carry or something like that in that game. But the fact that they were a threat to do it forced that Tennessee defense to stay honest, and they threw for 400-something yards. They just lost in a shootout. Alabama probably isn't going to give up as many points as Florida did. So if they rope Tennessee into a shootout, they're going to win it. If they've got Bryce Young. Like, if they don't have Bryce Young, there's no shootout. They don't, like, they're not going to try to play that kind of game. They're going to try to grind it out.
If Bryce Young doesn't play, then I think Tennessee wins.
I do too.
I do too. And I'm not even sure what the percentage is. I'm taking Tennessee in this game.
I think there's a lot of people taking Tennessee. I'm going to assume Bryce Young plays and he's healthy. I'm going to take Alabama to cover. But if he doesn't, I would say nothing would shock me.
This is the hardest thing about making picks on a Thursday, though, because, we usually pick the most high-profile games, which are often the hardest games to pick, but we also don't have the information right now. So it's kind of a risk, because if they announced now that Milroe's playing, I bet you the spread would probably fall to 3 instantaneously.
Well, you and I both know, Ari, that they're not going to announce that, and they're not going to say it until Saturday. I mean, they put Bryce Young up as the starter on the scoreboard before the Texas A&M game.
Yeah, I don't have any choice but to take the points here, just as a result of the value that you get if Bryce Young, for whatever reason, is not ready to play.
So I got an intriguing one elsewhere in the SEC that is not necessarily, well, one of the teams is very good, and obviously the other team is in a bit of turmoil. Auburn is a 14.5-point underdog at Ole Miss. This is a lot of points for a team that has won 8 of the past 9 in this series. And I realize that Ole Miss this year looks to be much better than Auburn this year. But sometimes this stuff actually matters, like this historical stuff. There's some sort of weird juju with Auburn and Ole Miss. So does Ole Miss just come out and roll them like Georgia did last week?
Well, how much do you buy into Ole Miss's performance against Vandy last week?
Well, it was shaky at first,
part?
but then it looked great in the second half.
Yeah,
so I don't know. What are they susceptible to? What did that prove that they're susceptible to? That's my question. A running quarterback? Well, Robbie Ashford is that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only answer. I don't know what else, unless it's just, susceptible to playing with your head up your butt. But, in a game like this at home against a team that has won as many matchups as they have, like Ole Miss's season is borderline, like, super impressive here. A few more wins are going to be exactly what we were joking about before the season started. So, my anticipation would be that Ole Miss is going to win the game. I think 14.5 is quite a bit of points for a team that I will say has fought pretty hard considering the situation. They haven't completely imploded yet.
Also, with Auburn, I'm going to put this to you guys. Let's say Ole Miss wins, covers, it's not close. You are the president of Auburn. You don't have an athletic director right now. You got an interim working. You've got an open date coming up next week. Is that when you do the deal?
Yeah. If it's ugly.
What if it's not ugly?
You may still do it. Just logistically speaking, that's the time to do, because you don't really want to give him a chance to win some games at the end and save his job.
Yeah, I mean, last week we were on
they've already decided to
happen
move on
after last week. So, it's not like the most recent game is the only resume bullet point that you have. So even if you lose by 7, I don't know that changes the information that we already have. So if it's a logistics standpoint, then that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah. So that one could be more intrigue off the field than on the field. Got a couple more in the SEC. We just do kind of quickly. Mississippi State is a 4-point favorite at Kentucky. Will Levis is going to play in this game. At least all indications are he's going to play in this game. I was one of those people who's like, are we sure Will Levis is a first-round prospect, blah, blah, blah. How great is he really? And then I saw Kentucky play without him. And I'm like, yep, no, he's everything everybody wants. So that said, I don't even know with Will Levis if Kentucky can beat Mississippi State.
I am with Kentucky right now.
Ooh.
I just think it'd be so easy to bail off the Kentucky bandwagon. They've had a rough stretch of 2 weeks. And, the fact of the matter is you had the sunglass dance in the locker room. I I mean, are we just is the demise of Kentucky football happening right now because their best player didn't play last week? Or are they a pretty good football team that's getting their best player
they
back?
don't have a very good offensive line, and they're about to play a team that's really good. That's where I'm at on this game.
Yeah. I think Kentucky's really good. I'm going to take their loss last week out of the equation a little bit. And frankly, their loss to Ole Miss was kind of a joke too, when you think about the way they lost that game. So
they lost that game because they can't block.
They lost that game because somebody didn't get set for a millisecond too soon.
Well, they also lost that game because they can't protect their quarterback.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. But I feel like right now, if Will Levis never got injured and one person just got set a millisecond faster, they'd be undefeated.
Right. And if Mississippi State had run one drive better, they probably would be undefeated too.
Well, the margin of those two things is much smaller. Like one better drive and 1 second of a play, getting a player getting set when they ran the play and scored a touchdown is a completely different discussion, I think. But
I like Mississippi State here. Everyone's been making a lot of this, but it's notable that Mike Leach is willing to run the ball. I think we need to highlight that.
I don't know how willing he is. I think they're still throwing it 70% of the time or 73% of the time.
Well,
what the difference is they're successful when they're running it.
Okay, sorry, there's an effectiveness.
Yes.
There's an ability to have an effective run game. But I think that when we've seen that element with other former air raid coaches that have kind of adapted, right, and figured out, wrinkles and different things to add. So it adds something, and I do think they're better defensively than maybe people have realized. I think we've probably realized that in the last few weeks. So I like Mississippi State in this game. And I get what you're saying about just how close Kentucky is to an undefeated season, but I think the Bulldogs are pretty good.
Do you guys know how many yards per carry Dylan Johnson's averaging this year?
I don't.
6.
Nice.
That's really good for Mississippi State.
It is very good. And like I said, they're not running it more often. They're running it more effectively.
Nicole, it made me look it up while you were talking about that. I'm like, what?
They're also
really
getting some
they're
also getting some yak yards. You saw that against A&M and Arkansas. Now that maybe
and they've got a pretty
not be as easy against Kentucky.
I like when teams go against type and do things that people aren't sure they're ever going to do.
Yep. Yeah, I think that the offensive line, defensive line matchup that you highlighted is a very astute point.
All right. Well, we will see what happens. I'm going to take Mississippi State in that game. I will lay the points. We will be right back. We're headed to the Big 12. Ari's backyard features a matchup of undefeated teams.
And I'm going.
We'll talk about that when we come back. Reserve Bar is your online source for premium and luxury spirits, wine, and champagne. And now, Reserve Bar offers same-day delivery. Reserve Bar has a vast lineup of rare and hard-to-find bottles, premium brands, celebrity spirits, and limited releases that you just won't find at your local store. No one does spirits gifting better than Reserve Bar. Looking for an elevated gift? ReserveBar.com has you covered, and you can have that gift delivered right to their door. Even better, you can turn that spirits gift into a cherished memento with custom engraving. Perfect for birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, you name it. Getting into home bartending, Reserve Bar has everything you need. Spirits for the shelves, sure, but they also have every barware tool and glass that you'll need. Visit reservebar.com today and use the promo code Andy to save $10 off your purchase of $75 or more on spirits, wine, or pre-made cocktails, but only when you use our special offer at reservebar.com with code Andy. That's reservebar.com, code Andy. This offer expires December 31st, 2022. Reservebar.com, code Andy for $10 off your first purchase of $75 or more. One of the most outspoken voices in sports has a brand new podcast, and he's not backing down from anything. Stephen A. Smith knows mercy when it's warranted. On his new show, No Mercy, that's KNOW Mercy, Stephen A. takes listeners beyond the world of sports, breaking barriers and pulling back the curtain on politics, entertainment, and business, all with his trademark straight shooting style. Hopefully that Dallas Cowboys hat, too. No agenda, no sugarcoating, no topic off limits. It's an entirely new show that's been years in the making. 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you'll hear Stephen A.'s unfiltered opinions on trending topics, front page news, current events, as well as conversations with influential celebrities and thought leaders at the forefront of culture. He does what he does best. He calls it like he sees it. Authentic and entertaining, No Mercy offers a different side of Stephen A. Smith with the freedom to say whatever is on his mind. You never know what you're going to get, but one thing will be clear. You don't need to know sports to know Mercy. Listen to No Mercy, a presence of Cadence 13 and Odyssey Studio, available now on the Odyssey app and anywhere you get your podcasts. Welcome back. We're headed to the Big 12. Oklahoma State headed to TCU, both teams undefeated. This could be a preview of your Big 12 championship game, although I don't know. There's a lot of teams in the mix for the Big 12 title. I personally like Oklahoma State the best in the league, so I am happy to take those 4 points, but I am curious, Ari and Nicole, what do you think about this game?
I'll let Nicole go first. I'm going to it, and I want to hear your guys' thought process.
Okay, so I have felt that to date, Oklahoma State does feel like they are a little bit of cut above everyone else. I think what they were able to do to Baylor and the separation in that game showed me that. But Max Duggan's playing really well. I think that the win that TCU had against Kansas was really hard fought. Even with Jalen Daniels going out, I mean, Jason Bean played really well. And like TCU is a good team, a really explosive offense. They feel ahead of schedule or maybe right on schedule. I don't know exactly what expectations were for TCU. So I think I'm going to also go with Oklahoma State because I do think this league is very like the top and the bottom are a lot closer. And like there's a lot of teams that can beat anybody on a given week. But until proven otherwise, and I might be proven otherwise in this game on Saturday, I do think that Mike Gundy's team is a little bit above everybody else. And so we'll see. There's been moments where I haven't fully bought into what they're doing defensively, dating all the way back to the first game of the season. So I don't know. But I feel like based on what I saw in the Baylor game, I'm giving them that edge. And you're right, Andy. We do get points with this one.
I'm on the same side as you guys, like in my head and in my heart. Everybody's on Oklahoma State. And the line moved from 3.5 to 4. And I'm wondering if this is a bear trap scenario. And I'm looking at the stats right now for TCU, and Duggan's obviously having a great year. His completion percentage is almost 75%. 14 touchdowns and 1 interception. Like, he's having a great year. But I think their top 5 leading rushers are all averaging at least 6.5 yards per carry, including the quarterback, who's a huge run threat. And it's an explosive offense, especially because Max Duggan is such a run threat. And I am wondering, since Jim Knowles left, are we as confident in Oklahoma State's defense as we were a year ago at this time? Probably not, right? And it's on the road.
I don't think they're as good as they were last year, but I do think they are still good. Like, no Malcolm Rodriguez, but you still got Brock Martin. You still and they didn't change the defense. Derek Mason came in, learned their terminology, learned their defense, and is calling the same defense that they were running last year.
Yeah. I'm just trying to come up with a reason to not just take Oklahoma State like everybody else. You're not giving me anything to work with here.
I'll give you one. Max Duggan joined Max Olson, Max on Max, and Sam Conn Jr. on the Max and Sam show in this here feed. So you want to hear some pearls of wisdom from TCU quarterback Max Duggan? There you go.
Here's another one. Oklahoma State ranks 105th in total defense this year.
Total defense is a meaningless stat. Give me yards per play. Where are they at?
Let me see.
Sort it differently.
Yeah, they're just giving up 422 yards a game. Let me see here. Yards per play. Oklahoma State, 56th. That's
wow. Okay, so they're about average, high side of average. So they're not dominant as like they were
high side of average against one of the better offenses in the country.
Correct, but I also look, Spencer Sanders has shown that you get roped into a game like that. You saw it last week against Texas Tech.
You can do it, yeah.
No, he got roped into a game like that, and he led them to a win.
Fine, I'll take Oklahoma State.
All right, and now we have we have that banner across the bottom like on game day, and now we've just guaranteed a TCU victory. So
yeah, I'm gonna go hit TCU for a grand.
You are welcome, TCU. Staying in the Big 12, we go to Norman. Kansas is a 9-point underdog at Oklahoma. Why
Kansas.
Does my heart scream Kansas money line, Ari? Why is that happening?
Because you got to trust the bean. That's it, man.
Yes.
Trust the bean.
Go ahead, Nicole.
Okay. I think that Kansas is good. Jason Bean, I was looking at his numbers compared to, like, you watched them last year. I don't know how much people watch them, but like, it wasn't very good. 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions on the whole season, starting 9 games, 4 second half touchdowns last week alone. It was not that much of a drop off. The offense is still super fun. It's effective. It moves the ball. Kansas is a good team. Oklahoma is not a good team right now. Yeah, I like the Jayhawks. I like Mr.
So this
Bean.
line tells us that Dylan Gabriel's playing for Oklahoma. So we were to assume that Oklahoma will have a functional offense. If Dylan Gabriel is out of this game at any point and Oklahoma reverts to whatever they were trying to do offensively last week, if it's not the Bryson dozer, then I have no faith in them to move
I think
the
the
ball at
line
all.
is the combination of Daniels and Bean.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
What's the difference in Kansas's offense with Daniels and Bean?
Right.
The
It was
answer's
still pretty
the
good.
answer's nothing. There's no
Yeah.
difference. It's like Oklahoma, massive drop off if the starter isn't playing. Kansas, not so much. So, like, I'm not taking any points away from Kansas,
Which means that
because
that
Jalen Daniels isn't playing.
Oklahoma is going to be more like the Oklahoma of the first 3 games of the year, which could be a scary proposition for Kansas.
They were playing
right?
as bad teams the first 3
Yeah.
games of the year.
Yeah. I don't.
Or overmatched
The
teams.
I
spread
don't
has moved
think
from
that-
7.5 to 9. So I don't know.
Because Dylan Gabriel's playing. And
We
that does
all
make a difference.
It does, but we all overreacted. We've overreacted multiple times this year to teams that have played Nebraska. I mean, Oklahoma was fine, but they weren't. They struggled against Kent State. I mean, like, this just. I don't think that they were like a great team early in the season. It was.
I
about the
agree.
competition.
I'm with you, Nicole. And I don't think anything has changed, not even those alternate uniforms Oklahoma's wearing, that will make the defense be in the right place. Now, until they show me they can be where they need to be, because I'm not even worried about their talent. Like, their talent is not where it needs to be at Oklahoma.
Was
It's not
last
where it needs
week's
to be moving into the
defensive struggles
SEC. It's
against
not where it needs. It's not where it needs to be to compete in the Big 12. It's just not. But they can't fix that this year. What they can fix is put the players in the right place. And right now, they're not doing that.
We were
So
at
until
Buffalo
they show
Wild
me they can
Wings.
do it, I'm picking Kansas.
We were at Buffalo Wild Wings last week, and I had my face down in some Asian Zing wings. And that game was such a blowout. I stopped, paying close attention to it. But was Oklahoma's defensive issues against Texas about being in the wrong place, or did they just get their ass kicked physically?
Both. It was
Yeah,
both.
Both.
Okay. Because
And
when I looked
against
up, I was just like, they have no
TCU, it was
shot.
being in
But
the wrong
that's
place.
also and that's also why everyone's deeply concerned. Like, that's why the red flashing sirens are going off about Brent Venables, because he's a defensive guy.
I just don't know if Kansas is equipped from a physical standpoint to manhandle them the way that
They're not going to manhandle them, but TCU's not equipped from a physical standpoint to manhandle them, and TCU beat them because they were in the wrong place every time. Like, they made them look stupid. So Oklahoma is going to have to prove to me that they can play sound defense. They can fit the gaps the way they're supposed to fit the gaps, that you don't have one guy thinking he's playing man and another guy thinking he's playing zone. Like, that it has to get fixed. And that's not something that requires talent. That's something that requires coaching.
Mhm.
So they're going to have to coach him up better. And until then, I'm taking everybody who's playing him, especially if you're going to give me points.
I also think this is a really big game for Kansas's brand, because I think a lot of people were ready to jump ship last week when they lost. It wasn't as fun of a story anymore.
I
If
don't
they
think
win this
people
game,
jump ship. I don't.
well, I
think
just like
people
it's
jump
not
ship.
a trendy talk about Kansas,
They
situation like it
They didn't
was.
even drop in the rankings. I think like people saw that they acquitted themselves well with a backup quarterback. Like,
But if they
I
beat
think-
Oklahoma now, I think the entire thing shifts back to, wow, this is a really good Big 12
Yeah,
team with a
that's
chance to
probably
win
true.
the Big 12.
Then they're the third team in a row to beat Oklahoma. Or fourth team,
Yeah, but the
fourth Big 12 team in a
name
row
and-
to beat Oklahoma.
yeah, the way that it
helmets and perception are
sounds.
a
Yeah,
matter. I mean,
that
that's-
does, and it does. It matters.
All right, guys, let's whip around to a few more games before we go. Head out west. USC is a 3.5-point dog at Utah. And I saw the way UCLA beat Utah last week. USC does not play the same way. I see you two are fighting on. Now I feel a little weird, because I was going to be the one who's like, no, I know everybody's on Utah,
Are
but
they?
I like USC in this game.
When I went to Arizona homecoming, I was 25 years old. I temporarily fell in love with an Arizona senior that I met on this trip. And she incessantly went like this in her pictures. Remember that was a thing?
Yeah, the peace sign.
Peace
Some
But
people
it's like
still
with
do
the
it.
eye
in front of
and
her eye. That's
You know,
I
girls
don't
used to do
remember
that.
that. I don't
Okay, well, I'm
remember
gonna find
the
a bunch
thing.
of pictures.
Is that sort of like a John Travolta Saturday Night Fever thing? Like the
No, it's just
I
like
don't know, but this
or
is
Brian
another
Kelly
thing that
with
Ari
the recruiting photo shoot?
Ari continues to say things on a public forum that
Mhm.
he's not going to want his wife to hear. Like this is the
I
same
know.
thing as
She
earlier
knows
about
about
the
her.
Taco Bell. Okay, all right.
my wife knows everything about
So
me.
you
That's
get
why our
more
marriage
you
is
get
so
more
functional.
trouble for eating some
Except
Taco Bell.
the Taco
than
Bell
you would-
order.
Yeah.
I think she would be more upset if she found out that I smashed $28 worth of Taco Bell than if I were sitting next to her on
Okay.
the couch and
Are
this girl
you
texted
never
me.
allowed to use the word smash in the context of eating a lot of food? Because you don't smash food. I smash
But
food.
I would have to smash it if it's $28.
He's a
But
nibbler.
You're a nibbler. That's right.
I'm
You
a-
have
I'm
to
a-
say until you can prove
I'm
that
a-
you can actually
I'm
smash
a
food.
nibbling raccoon.
You have to nibble food. I smash. You nibble.
Yeah, you do. You do smash, dude. Like I'll give you that. Like we went.
So is your point about your past dating history and this former brief love of your life that's how you do your fight on?
I just
little
like
peace
girls
signs
used
by
to
the-
do
by the
that in
eye.
pictures on Instagram in 2015 all the time.
I think it was more just like the peace sign was around.
Yeah,
but it's
Anyway,
like always about her face.
you are so weird.
I'm just like I got a grand riding on this thing here. Okay. So
Yeah,
I don't need to hear
I
anything about. Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you. Listen, I'm out. I thought Utah was gonna get it done last week. I am tired of vouching for them and then watching them lose. I think USC is good. I like the offense. I think I'm in on the Trojans. They also have a mulligan. I mean, like they can win the Pac-12 here, be one loss. They're gonna be in playoff contention. So let's let it happen.
I think USC is going to lose
everybody
this
is.
year.
Vegas is saying they think Utah will out physical USC and just manhandle them up
But
front.
we thought that Utah was going to do that to UCLA.
Right. And UCLA did that to Utah. So if we're going to talk about the USC UCLA game down the road, that's a different conversation.
That's what
But
I'm
right
just going
now,
to say. I think
I'm
USC
with
is
the
going to
Trojans.
lose this year. I don't think they're going to lose this weekend. I think they're going to
Right.
lose to UCLA.
Yeah, I'm with the Trojans in this one. Across the country, Clemson is a 3.5-point favorite at Florida State. Is it just me, or does this line seem really low?
Feels low, but also feels like Clemson, weirdly enough, even though they're now the number 4 team in the country, is floating under the radar, not getting enough respect. I think this is easy. I take the Tigers.
I feel like DJ's turned a corner.
Yes.
The defense was
think
never the defensive line was never a question. The secondary was after the Wake Forest game, but then they've gotten some guys back. Like I'm on Clemson. I don't think the criticism of Mike Norvell for the way the NC State game ended is all that justified. Look, the fact that they're in that game in Raleigh against that team now represents progress for Florida State. Playing this game tight will represent progress for Florida State. They had a long way to go. Like expecting them to win stuff like this is probably expecting too much too soon. So yeah, I'm
not going to
Clemson.
join anybody on the easy bandwagon. With
You're going to take Florida State?
I don't know if I'm going to take Florida State, but I know it's not going to be easy. I think that
it's not going to be easy, but it's a 3.5-point line.
Right,
Like
I
if they
think
win
it's
by
an easy
7,
pick.
they still cover.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think Clemson is definitely on trending up, but not absolved of looking like dog shit for 3 quarters in any given game they play this year.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, and Florida State did that to them last year. Florida State scared the hell out of them.
I'm on Florida State.
This may be their toughest game, like tougher than Wake, tougher than NC State. But I just think that we are collectively underrating Clemson.
All right, we'll stay in the state with a game. Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times tweeted this out on Thursday, and it was an interesting thought. Like no buzz whatsoever around LSU Florida, a game that there's always some sniping back and forth, or you name it, nothing. There's nothing. And I responded to him. I said, I think they're just trying to lay low and hope nobody notices. Florida's a 2.5-point favorite in this game. I'll be honest with you, I have no clue what's going to happen. It's either going to be it's 2 mediocre teams, and it's either going to be a 47-45 face melter, or it's going to be the most boring 13-7 game you ever saw, and I have no idea who wins.
It's going to be a face melter, just in different ways.
You don't want your face to melt off so you can't
I mean,
see
if it's 12-4,
I have no
two
clue what
safeties.
this will be. Like none. LSU's got some dudes on defense, which means they're going to stress Anthony Richardson out. Florida, just got a nice blueprint of how to play LSU's offense from Tennessee. Whether they can do that or not is another story. But Florida has he's listed at 415, Desmond Watson. I think he's probably higher than that. I think we're talking 430, more than likely. They put him in when it's obvious the other team's going to run. Des, I hope you're in shape because every play, it's obvious LSU's going to try to run. So I maybe put him and Gervon Dexter in at the same time and just say, go ahead, move this 750 pounds of humanity if you can.
Yeah, that guy's an animal. There's no other way to put it. That guy is
a
an
Desmond
animal.
Watson pick six would be the greatest clip in the history of the internet.
I think we'll get it one day.
I hope so.
I
hope it's this game.
We were at the bar last week, and I was watching the Florida game on my computer. I said to Andy, "Look at this animal." I can't stop staring at him when he's on the screen.
He's awesome. He moves really well.
I know.
All right, one more game, and then we need to head out. But Nebraska, almost a 2-touchdown underdog at Purdue. Ari, I do think even though you tweeted it facetiously, I do think you have to take seriously the possibility of Nebraska winning the Big Ten West.
Will Nebraska be the first two-loss team in the history of college football playoff to make the playoff? I don't know.
All right.
Stop.
Until these things are mathematically eliminated, Ari just can't help himself. I think Purdue's gonna win and cover. Although,
well, they have 3 losses, so I'm an idiot. Okay, yeah, they're out.
I think that Purdue has every Purdue game has been an adventure. They could be undefeated. They could also be 2-4. But I genuinely think they're a good team. I think that they could win the West. Their schedule falls well for that. It's a lot of points, but I like Aiden O'Connell. I like the improvements we've seen Purdue defensively in general, over the Jeff Brom tenure. I'm going to take Purdue, probably be wrong because every Purdue game has been chaotic.
Exactly. And that's why I'll take Nebraska and all those points, because I think Purdue might win. But I think there's a much better chance Nebraska covers than Purdue covers.
Yeah, I probably talked myself out of myself. Okay, I'm switching.
All right.
I'm taking Purdue because I'm never taking Nebraska to do anything ever.
You just picked them to make the playoff.
He made me do it. I have no.
You made all those friends in Nebraska last week, and now you're just breaking their hearts.
The first time since 2016 they've won 3 games in a row if they win. Such an embarrassing stat.
Heady times. It's a great slate, everybody. I cannot wait for these games. We will be with you during and after on Saturday, so stay tuned. Nicole and Ari are fighting on if you're not watching the video.
With our eyes.
Just fight on, everybody.
With the eyes.
We'll talk to you Saturday.